Plymouth Fury GT. Nestled in the archives of Mopar history is an underrated brute, the 1970 Plymouth Fury GT. This full-sized powerhouse combined luxury, size, and sheer performance in a way few cars of its time could match. The Plymouth Fury nameplate was already well established by 1970, with roots tracing back to the mid-1950s. The Fury lineup had evolved from a performance-oriented coupe to a full-sized, comfort-focused offering, often seen as more of a cruiser than a tire-burning muscle car. Unlike Plymouth's more famous performance cars like the Roadrunner and Cuda, the Fury GT was a big-body muscle car, blending luxury and power. It was marketed as a high-performance personal luxury coupe, an attempt to rival Pontiac's Grand Prix and Ford's Torino GT. Under the hood, the Fury GT packed serious muscle. The standard engine was the legendary 440 Super Commando V8, producing 350 horsepower and 480 torque. However, buyers could upgrade to the 440 six-pack, a triple-carbureted version that cranked out 390 horsepower, a setup shared with the Roadrunner and GTX. With this power plant, the Fury GT was capable of 0 to 60 in around 6.7 seconds, and a top speed exceeding 130 miles per hour. To harness all this power, Plymouth equipped the Fury GT with a TorqueFlite 727 3-speed automatic transmission and a 3.23-to-1 rear axle ratio. The car also featured heavy-duty suspension components, power disc brakes, and a dual exhaust system to enhance its performance credentials. Despite weighing over 4,200 pounds, it handled surprisingly well for its size. Built at a time when buyers were steering away from powerful vehicles, the Sport Fury GT found only 669 customers in 1970. Of these, 605 were ordered with the 4-barrel 440 V8. Enthusiasts estimate that fewer than 100 highly original examples are still around. Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 429 SCJ. Mercury, Ford's upscale performance brand, had been deeply involved in stock car racing, and by the late 1960s, NASCAR homologation rules dictated that manufacturers had to produce at least 500 units of a car for it to be eligible for racing. The 1970 model was part of Mercury's effort to compete with Ford's own Torino Talladega and Dodge's Charger Daytona. While Mercury had already introduced the Cyclone spoiler in 1969, the 1970 version took things to an entirely new level with the introduction of the 429 Super Cobra jet engine, which cemented its place as one of the most powerful muscle cars of its time. At the heart of this beast was the 429 Super Cobra Jet V8, an engine designed for pure speed. Rated at 375 horsepower and 450 torque, the SCJ was a force to be reckoned with, although many believe these figures were grossly underrated. The real magic came with the drag pack and super drag pack options, which included a 3.91 or 4.30 rear axle ratio, an engine oil cooler, and forged internals, making the 429 SCJ one of the most potent engines of its time. Combined with a Ram airshaker hood scoop, this setup helped funnel air directly into the massive Holley 780 CFM carburetor, optimizing performance. With a top-loader 4-speed manual transmission or a heavy-duty C6 automatic, the Cyclone spoiler could achieve quarter-mile times in the high 13-second range. The styling of the Cyclone spoiler was aggressive and functional, featuring an extended front nose for better aerodynamics and a rear spoiler to aid high-speed stability. Inside, the Cyclone featured high-back bucket seats and a competition-style gauge cluster. Despite its impressive performance and unique design, the Cyclone spoiler 429 SCJ often flies under the radar compared to other muscle cars of the era. This is partly due to Mercury's identity crisis during the 1960s and 1970s, as the brand struggled to find its place between Ford and Lincoln. However, this also adds to the car's allure, representing a hidden gem from the muscle car era. In 1970, only 341 Cyclone spoiler models were equipped with the 429 SCJ engine. Chevy Kingswood Wagon 454. The Kingswood nameplate had been part of Chevrolet's full-size wagon lineup since 1959, but by 1970 it reached the peak of its performance potential. Based on the Chevrolet Impala platform, the Kingswood was a full-size rear-wheel drive wagon that shared much of its styling with the sedan counterpart, but added an extended roofline and a massive rear cargo area that made it a favorite among large families and travelers. However, what truly set the 1970 Kingswood apart was the availability of Chevrolet's most potent big block engine, the 454 V8, an engine more commonly associated with the Chevelle SS and Corvette. This made the Kingswood one of the most powerful station wagons of its time, capable of performance that belied its family-friendly image. The LS5 version of the 454 engine produced an impressive 390 horsepower with turbojet, making it more than capable of launching the over 4,600-pound wagon down the road with authority. It was available with a turbo-hydromatic 400 automatic transmission, ensuring smooth yet forceful acceleration. Though the Chevrolet Kingswood wagon was discontinued after 1972, the 1974 54 equipped model remains a sought-after collector's item today, as it represents one of the most unique intersections of muscle car performance and station wagon practicality ever produced. Only a very few wagons equipped with this 454 engine have rolled out of the factory, and they are even rarer today. Ford Gran Torino Sport 351 Cobra Jet. Introduced as part of the second-generation Gran Torino lineup, the Sport model was designed to deliver aggressive styling, strong performance, and a balance between power and comfort. The 1972 model year marked a significant redesign for the Torino, featuring a longer, lower, and wider body with a more sculpted appearance. One of its most defining visual elements was the egg crate grille, which extended into the body-colored front bumper, giving the car a sleek, almost futuristic look. The fastback variant, often referred to as the sports roof, had a sloping rear that enhanced its aerodynamic profile and added to its muscle car appeal. While Ford offered a variety of engines in the Gran Torino Sport, the most desirable option was the 351 Cobra Jet V8, a potent 5.8-liter powerhouse that produced 248 horsepower and 299 torque in stock form. Though these numbers were modest compared to the late 60s muscle car era, they were still impressive given the new SAE net horsepower rating system, which measured power more realistically than the previous gross ratings. Equipped with a 4-barrel carburetor, high-flow cylinder heads, and an improved camshaft, the 351 Cobra Jet was a well-rounded engine that delivered strong mid-range torque and respectable top-end power. Though it wasn't a track-focused car, it provided a smoother and more refined ride than many of its muscle car competitors. Straight-line performance was solid, with quarter-mile times in the mid-15-second range and 0 to 60 in about 6.9 seconds, making it competitive with other performance cars of its time. The car gained significant fame through its appearance in the 2008 film Gran Torino, directed by and starring Clint Eastwood. This film helped cement the Gran Torino's status as an iconic American muscle car, introducing it to a new generation of fans. Buick Century GS 455 Stage 1. The Buick GS lineage had been established in the mid-1960s as a response to the muscle car craze, and by 1973, the GS name was attached to the newly redesigned Buick Century, which replaced the Skylark in Buick's intermediate lineup. The 1973 model year saw the introduction of the Colonnade body style, which featured beefier rollover protection and a more substantial appearance. This design change added nearly 400 pounds to the car's weight. The most potent version of this new model was the GS 455 Stage 1, a car that combined luxury and brute force in a way few others could. Under the hood lay a massive 455 V8, an engine that had already proven itself in earlier GS models. However, what truly set the Stage 1 apart was its higher compression ratio, aggressive camshaft, larger valves, and a specially tuned Rochester Quadrajet 4-barrel carburetor, all of which helped it produce a factory-rated 270 net horsepower and a monstrous 395 torque. Buick paired this powerful engine with a turbo-hydromatic 400 3-speed automatic transmission, one of the most durable and well-regarded transmissions of its time, though a 4-speed manual was available for those who wanted a more engaging driving experience. While still a big, heavy car, it offered a more refined ride than the harsher, stripped-down muscle cars of the late 60s. According to Motor Trend's July 1973 edition, a 73 GS clocked a 15.3-second quarter-mile at 90 miles per hour. Visually, it featured a long, sculpted hood, a wide grille with quad headlights, and a sloping fastback design that gave it a distinct, aggressive stance. Buick made 6,637 GS models in 1973, but only 728 of those had the Stage 1 engine. Chevy Laguna S3 454. Introduced as Chevrolet's NASCAR-inspired performance variant of the midsize Laguna lineup, the S3 was designed to replace the aging Chevelle SS while offering a blend of aggressive styling, road-going capability, and big block power. The Laguna nameplate, introduced in 1973, signified Chevrolet's premium version of the A-body platform, but it was in 1974 that the S3 package transformed it into a serious performance-oriented machine. While it may not have carried the same name recognition as the Chevelle SS, the Laguna S3 was a formidable street machine that made a lasting impression both on the road and the racetrack. Under the hood, the most potent engine option was the 7.4-liter V8, which delivered 235 net horsepower and a massive 360 torque. Paired with a turbo-hydromatic 403-speed automatic transmission, the Laguna S3 could be 0 to 60 in around 7 seconds, with quarter-mile times in the high 15-second range. One of the most distinguishing features of the Laguna S3 was its aerodynamic front end, which featured a urethane nose designed for improved airflow and reduced drag, making it an ideal choice for NASCAR competition. This design not only set it apart from the standard Chevelle, but also helped it dominate on the track, as the Laguna S3 became a favorite among stock car racers. Chevrolet's decision to build the S3 with NASCAR in mind paid off, as it became one of the most successful models on the circuit throughout the mid-1970s. AMC Matador X 401. AMC was known for producing unconventional but highly capable performance cars, and the Matador X was no exception. Introduced as a high-performance variant of the second-generation AMC Matador, the Matador X was designed to capture the essence of the muscle car era, while incorporating the brand's unique styling and engineering approach. With NASCAR-inspired aerodynamics, a powerful 401 V8, and eye-catching fastback styling, the Matador X stood apart from its big three competitors and proved that AMC could still deliver serious performance in the face of tightening emissions regulations. The Matador X package was introduced in 1974 as an appearance and performance upgrade for the standard Matador Coupe. The fastback coupe design, which debuted in 1974, was inspired by aerodynamic principles that helped AMC secure victories in NASCAR, most notably with drivers like Mark Donohue piloting Matadors on the track. Though the styling was controversial at the time, the unique wedge shape made the Matador one of the most recognizable muscle cars of the 1970s. At the heart of the 1974 Matador X was AMC's most potent power plant, the 401 V8, producing 235 net horsepower and 345 torque. While emissions regulations and insurance restrictions had begun to choke high-performance cars, the 401 still delivered strong acceleration and could be 0 to 60 in around 7 seconds. Inside, the Matador X featured a driver-focused cockpit with bucket seats and a center console, although the interior materials and build quality were often criticized for being less refined compared to its competitors. Despite its impressive performance and NASCAR success, the Matador X401 was produced in relatively small numbers, making it a rare and highly collectible muscle car today. Dodge Aspen RT. The Aspen RT was Dodge's response to a changing automotive landscape, marking the transition from the high-horsepower muscle cars of the late 60s and early 70s to the more compact and efficient performance models of the mid to late 1970s. Introduced as part of the new Dodge Aspen lineup, which replaced the Dart, the RT package was designed to bring a level of sportiness to Dodge's new compact platform. The Aspen itself was a significant departure from previous Dodge models, built on Chrysler's F-body platform to be lighter and more efficient while still offering V8 power. As emissions regulations, rising fuel costs, and insurance premiums put pressure on traditional muscle cars, Dodge sought to create a performance package that could retain the excitement of earlier RT models while adapting to the demands of the new era. At its core, the 1976 Aspen RT was offered with several engine choices, but the most powerful option was the 364-barrel V8, which produced 170 horsepower and 280 torque. While this was a far cry from the 400-plus horsepower muscle cars of the late 60s, the lighter curb weight of the Aspen allowed it to deliver respectable performance. When equipped with the TorqueFlite 3-speed automatic transmission or the available 4-speed manual, the Aspen RT could achieve 0 to 60 in around 8 seconds. Though the '76 Dodge Aspen RT didn't have the raw power of earlier RT models like the Charger or Challenger, it represented a shift toward a new era of performance cars. Chrysler 300. Inspired by the legendary Letter Series 300 models of the 1950s and 1960s, the 1979 Chrysler 300 was based on the Cordoba personal luxury coupe, but infused with aggressive styling, a performance-tuned suspension, and a high-output V8. Under the hood, the Chrysler 300 packed a 360 4-barrel V8, producing 195 net horsepower and 280 torque. While this might seem mild compared to the fire-breathing Hemis of the past, it was one of the more powerful factory offerings of the late 1970s. Though heavier than muscle cars of the 1960s, the Chrysler 300 could be 0 to 60 in under 10 seconds. It also featured a dual exhaust system, adding a throaty V8 growl that reminded enthusiasts of Chrysler's performance heritage. Unlike the softer-riding Cordoba, the 300 received a firm-feel steering box, stiffer springs, and heavy-duty shocks, making it one of the best-handling Chryslers of the late 1970s. Visually, it came exclusively in Spinnaker white with bold red and blue accent stripes, paying homage to the original 300 Letter Series cars. Inside, the 300 offered luxurious bucket seats, upholstered in red Corinthian leather, a center console with a T-handle shifter, and a machine-turned aluminum instrument panel. Despite its impressive styling and performance upgrades, the 1979 Chrysler 300 was a one-year-only model, with only 3,811 units produced, making it a rare and desirable collector's item today.